Uh, okay, everyone. So, in this video, we're going to focus on how to beat TMS and return back to your normal life. If you've seen the other videos, by now you kind of understand the mechanics behind TMS and all the theory. So now we're going to focus on how to get rid of it and basically return back to your normal life. So, remember, everyone's road to healing is going to be different. Some people are going to heal faster than others. Some techniques will be more effective than some people than others. But there are two fundamentals I want you to keep in mind, basically, as you're on your road to recovery. And these fundamentals are like critical to basically regaining your health. And the first fundamental is your belief. Um, you need to believe that you have TMS. The diagnosis needs to make sense to you. You really have to fully believe that your body is fine, you're healthy, and there's nothing physically wrong with you. You, for the most part, and especially myself, I was convinced that there was something physically wrong with me. But once I learned about TMS, it just made sense to me. Now, don't get me wrong, like when you've had so many failures with other treatments and also your body's been in so much pain, it's only natural to be skeptical and feel like there's something wrong with you. I certainly did feel like that even when I found out about TMS. But really, you just need to be ready to acknowledge that an emotional psychological explanation for your pain also makes sense. And as you follow these techniques, your belief will grow stronger because the pain will start to go away. The second key fundamental to getting better is really understanding that the purpose of TMS and the pain is to distract you from basically your emotions. The pain serves as a distraction. And basically what this means is if you don't let your pain distract you anymore, there's no purpose for it, and you will get better. So again, just to reiterate, because this is so important, if you don't let the pain distract you anymore, if you don't let this defense mechanism that the body is trying to use, which is the pain, to distract you from your emotions, there's no point for the pain, and it'll go away. Now, again, a lot of these sound easier said than done, so I'm going to break down these fundamentals into a few helpful techniques. So let's talk about how we strengthen our belief. The first advice I would give to anyone, and if you don't do anything, just do this. Read Dr. Sarno's book, Healing Back Pain. It's exceptionally written. He's a brilliant writer. It explains everything in intricate detail. It's very easy to understand. It's not written in medical jargon. It basically contains all the knowledge you need, all the treatment strategies, case studies from other patients who he's helped. Basically everything you need is in this book. You can buy it on Amazon for around $10. So that's probably the first thing I would do. Now, I realize we all have busy schedules. You may not necessarily have the time to read this right away. And that's why I kind of create videos like this to basically be able to go into detail about TMS without necessarily have the time to read the book. But go on YouTube and search Dr. Sarno 2020. And what you'll find is 2020 about 15 years ago, released this amazing news clip basically describing the ins and outs of TMS. They follow 3 patients who have been having problems and who follow Dr. Sarno's diagnosis and get better. It's excellently done. It's like a 15-minute quick overview of TMS, and it's really, really well done. It's a great way to be introduced to TMS, and I probably watched it every day during my recovery, so definitely watch that. The second thing that you can do to really strengthen your belief is immerse yourself in success stories. Reading and watching stories of people you can identify with, people you can relate to, it's really, really powerful because these are people who have had it really bad and they were able to overcome their TMS. And it's going to inspire you that you can transform your life as well. And just the more stories you hear from people, like the more real it's going to be and the more you're going to believe it. During my recovery, I probably spent anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes every day just reading and watching success stories, and some great places to find them. Amazon.com is a great one if you search for healing back pain. The book review, there's like 600 reviews. There's like 500 5-star reviews of people just kind of sharing their stories just like mine. Read them. They're great and very inspiring. And there's even a search box on Amazon, so you can put in your specific condition and filter out to reviews that are specifically people who had exactly what you were going through. YouTube is another great one. You're learning about mine. There's a guy named Forrest who runs the TMSwiki. He's got some great success stories up there as well. There's a ton of them, so that's a great medium. There's a site called thankyouDrSarno.com or .org. If you Google it, you'll find it, but it's basically people who wrote letters to Dr. Sarno just talking how he transformed their lives. And TMSwiki.org is basically a resource for all things TMS, but they have some great success stories. The last thing that you can do to really strengthen your belief, and this is optional, but if you have the ability to do it, it's just going to help, is visit a TMS doctor if you can. To basically visit a medical professional who's basically spent their entire career helping patients with TMS get better, to have them diagnose you, to have them share their learnings, that's extremely powerful. It's going to send a very strong signal to your mind that TMS is in fact legit, and it'll help. I was lucky enough I got to see Dr. Schechter, who practices here in Los Angeles. Now, for those people who don't have a TMS doctor in their area, or you can't afford it, you don't have insurance, this is completely optional. Like, you don't need to do this. And why I say that is, I hadn't even seen Dr. Schechter until 3 weeks after I read the book, and by then I'd say like 80% of my symptoms had already vanished. It just kind of reinforced what I was already doing. So by no means is it necessary, but if you have the option, you might as well do it. So I'd say those are 3 things you can do to strengthen your belief. Just to recap: read Healing Back Pain, immerse yourself in success stories, and visit a TMS doctor if you can. Now we're going to focus on basically the second fundamental of not letting the pain distract you anymore. And I guess the first thing that I found really helped was I just tried to remember what it was like to be healthy again. Before TMS had started, when I was just a normal kid and I didn't have back pain, I didn't have neck pain, I didn't have any limitations. I could drive, I could sit in any posture, I could play sports, I could work out. I could basically do whatever I wanted. Pain was the last thing on my mind. I had no limitations. I never felt like there was anything wrong with me. And ultimately, this is the mindset we want to reintroduce. This is where we want to go back. So really think about, personally for you, when things were okay, and try to readopt that mentality. And just to give you an example, I would speak to my parents on the phone pretty frequently while I was going through kind of all this chronic pain. And the first question they would always ask me is, Kareem, how's your health? Kareem, how's your back doing? Kareem, how's your neck? And healthy people don't talk about their pain all the time. It's not like the dominant thing that they think about. So I just told my parents, I told my friends who would ask about it, I'm like, thanks for asking, but we're not talking about this anymore. Healthy people don't talk about their pain, and I didn't talk about my pain to anyone, just like it didn't exist. I really tried to ignore it. Another tip that's very useful, that really helped me a lot, and that Dr. Sarno recommends, is when you feel the pain coming on. So if you're getting like a twinge in your shoulder, your back, or wherever, immediately start to think about something that's bothering you. And just to kind of go back to that fundamental, the purpose of the pain is to distract us and to divert our energy and attention away from the emotional pain. But now let's say every time the pain comes, you immediately start thinking about emotions and about problems. You're basically rewiring your brain. you're telling it, I'm not going to fall for your tricks anymore. You bring me pain, I'm going to think about problems anyways. It's not going to distract me. So that's a very effective technique. So just to give you an example, when I was just trying to start being able to drive again, my pelvis would naturally start hurting again. And I would just ignore it, and I would just think about, maybe I had like an argument with my sister or something, or maybe some asshole just cut me off. I would think about those things as opposed to thinking about my pain. The third thing that's very important is you got to start thinking psychologically. Journaling, writing down in a book, what's on your mind, and also just self-reflection. These are just great tools for thinking psychologically, and some questions you may want to ask yourself. What's stressful in my life right now? What are the emotions or painful feelings you think you might be trying to avoid? What may have been going on in your life when the pain started? Just to give you an example for myself, when I started to think psychological, there were a few things I uncovered. So right before the pain started, I was going through a very tough breakup with my girlfriend. I just come off a failed knee surgery, and my surgeon had actually admitted that he had made a mistake during the operation, and my knee was really in really bad shape. And I was also in the midst of launching my first business, and there was a lot of pressure on me to succeed. And while consciously, these things may have been challenging, but I dealt with it. It wasn't that bad. But we've already seen that, consciously our minds may perceive something, but unconsciously there may be a lot more baggage beneath the surface. So, unconsciously all these events going on must have really created a lot of anger or rage or fear or whatever. And that's what precipitated all these symptoms to start in the first place. So for everyone, it's going to be different, but you need to get in the habit of thinking psychologically. The fourth thing, which is very important, is you need to stop going for treatments and doing all these special exercises that all these experts have given you. And first of all, you need to rule out a physical explanation. Don't just listen to me and do that. You need to fully believe this, or have seen someone, or kind of had your practitioners tell you that there's nothing seriously wrong with you. But why this is important is every time you're going for a treatment, you're basically reinforcing to yourself that there's something wrong with you. Like when you're getting a massage or acupuncture and adjustment, these are physical adjustments to your physical body, and people only get these adjustments when there's something wrong with their physical body. Now, if you're a healthy person, you don't need to do these things. And every time you're going in for a treatment, you're reinforcing that there's something wrong with you and that you need to get these treatments. Every time you're doing your exercises, like I was doing all sorts of things. Like I was, doing like all these neck exercises. I was moving my like arms up and down to activate my traps that my physical therapist was giving me. Any exercises that are specific to your problem, you just want to stop doing them. Like if you're doing yoga, keep doing yoga. Like anything that's general for good health, keep doing them and do it. But anything that's specific for your problem, every time you're doing them, you're basically saying there's something wrong with me. I need to be doing these exercises. And I know firsthand how difficult this can be. By the end of these 4 years, like I was getting 2 or 3 treatments a week because I really felt like shit all the time. And I really needed or felt I needed these treatments to manage my pain. So it took a lot of courage to basically stop and just have faith in the diagnosis and, read the book. And I'll honestly tell you, I was probably had maybe 200 or 300 treatments over those 4 years. As soon as I picked up Dr. Sarno's book, I've not been back for a massage, acupuncture, physical therapy, chiropractor, nothing. I've been pain-free, and I've not needed a single treatment. So it's very important to break yourself out of this cycle. The last thing, and perhaps the most important thing, is you need to eventually return back to all your normal activities. Basically everything you were doing before you had the pain. And again, for everyone it's going to be different, but over the course of kind of the decline in my health, I just had to stop doing a lot of things that I really enjoyed doing. I couldn't read a book anymore because holding a book put a lot of pressure on my shoulder muscles and they would spasm and it just felt awful. I couldn't read. Sitting at a computer and typing was awful. My wrist would hurt, my back would hurt, my neck would hurt. Driving, playing the guitar, working out. I couldn't work out at all. Just anytime I would go to the gym and lift muscles, like I would get such intense spasms. It was awful. And you could probably relate to this, but a lot of these activities like totally terrified me. Like just the thought of sitting at a computer would terrify me. And it's interesting because we're Pavlovian creatures, which means we can be conditioned. So after you've had a negative association with a certain experience, just thinking about it can trigger, your muscles to relapse. And essentially what we want to do is reverse this conditioning. And again, it's easier said than done, and it's a gradual process. You want to take things slow. So again, to give you some examples, I would just, I would drive and I would just try to sit in my car 5 minutes longer. I would sit at my computer and just try to sit at my desk 5 minutes longer. I would go for a bike ride and, I had to stop biking because my pelvis was hurting and, having my arms out like this would put a lot of pressure on, my traps. But, I just kept doing it and I fought through some pain and, it wasn't easy. But literally, after about a week, my pelvic pain, which had been there for about a year, which was really severe and really made driving and sitting unbearable, it vanished like after a week. It was incredible. Like I'd probably had like 50 physical therapy treatments in the past year, which had done absolutely nothing. But a week of just ignoring my pain and, my pelvic pain goes away. And, as your pain goes away, your confidence in the diagnosis increases, your belief strengthens, and you have more confidence to take on even more difficult activities. So eventually, it was time to go to the gym. And like I said, I was terrified. Like in the past 4 years, anytime I tried to go to the gym and lift weights, my body would just seize up and like it would be like a week of feeling like shit. And so I just, again, took it gradually. I did a really light workout one day. I used very light weights. And, I just gradually built up the intensity. And after about 4 weeks, I was able to do everything that I had stopped doing. And I was normal again. I had no more limitations. It was incredible. So just to recap, for the second fundamental of not letting the pain distract you, there's 5 things I suggested. So the first one, just kind of remembering what it's like when you were healthy and try to readopt kind of those traits. Every time you feel the pain coming on, start to think emotionally what's bothering you. Think psychologically, journal, self-reflect, try to figure out why, you're getting TMS in the first place. When you're comfortable with this, stop your treatment, stop your exercises, because you're a healthy person and you don't need these. Our bodies have this natural embryonic blueprint. Our bodies know how to heal themselves. We don't need all these manipulations from these therapists to get better. And the last thing is slowly and gradually return back to your activities. And I guess this kind of concludes how to beat TMS. It worked for me. These techniques have worked for a lot of people. I basically derived them pretty much all from Dr. Sarno's book. And that's why I recommend, if you don't do anything, just read Healing Back Pain by Dr. Sarno. But if you follow these tips, you will get better, I promise you. Thanks.